what I asked you though. I heard that when somebody says something, they said that was the first sanctioned fight in England. Is that what?
That
Somebody
is,
told me that's true. What does that mean? Because I've heard a lot of people say different like about sanctions. What does that mean? Because I know
that's
BKB and stuff.
no, that's a great question. And fortunately, like the ISK, the largest sanctioning body probably in the world, we started in 1977. ISK sanctions over about 400 fights a year, as I said, in over 40 countries. And what we try to bring to the table is a sense of the most competent officials, judges, and referees. As a matter of fact for the London show, we're bringing over Big Dan Mergliata and Andy Glenn. Uh, when you so I'm excited about that. We got Mike Belgrave from London, but in terms of them understanding what the difference between BKFC and BYB, BKB, we're going to do that. We're going to also put on a Zoom call, a training call before we get down there. With all the officials on. I also would like to invite the
Oh, that's
coaches and
cool.
to watch. I'll send you a link to it so you can actually, we're going to watch some of the videos, some of the clips of past fights, of situations where the ref stopped the fight for a cut or something that was a little controversial. And kind of explain what we did, why we did it, what decisions that were made by Dan or Andy, Chris Young, Kerry Hatley. Those are some of the finest bare knuckle fighting championship referees that we have. And we've never really had too much of a problem with our judges. Very fortunate because most of the fights are very clear as to who won. Like I said, with the exception, we've had some controversy over a few of them, but for the most part, and the sanctioning part is having officials that have very good track records in UFC, for example, or Bellator. I'm very good friends with like Eric Colon, Dave Terrell, Dave Ginsburg, Brian Miner. These are all outstanding Class A officials. And when you have them sitting in the chairs, it's going to be a very fair judging system going on. So the sanctioning bodies are very aware of that. I mean, ISK is very aware of who works for them and what their training is. And like I said, talked to Paul Nichols, the ISK director in London. We're putting together a training video with everybody involved, and then hopefully we'll get down there the day before and do a live one, and hopefully inside the ring if it's put together, or we can get together and just go over it where it's a little more visual with just the referees and the judges. And I know Paul has other London UK judges, UK referees who've done some of the other bare knuckle, and we want them to shadow. We want them to better understand what we're doing. As Dave Feldman brings more shows back to the UK, they'll be very competent. I wouldn't say they're all competent, but very they're officials that have seen firsthand what we're doing and have worked with us. And
See
maybe
that's smart, man. See, I didn't want to. That shows that it's not just let's put a fight on because if you don't have the officials that don't know you. So for instance, I think BKB has an 18 count. These officials are different. They can't clinch, they can't do nothing. All the stuff. If that's what they're, and then y'all show up over there and they. I was wondering what was going to happen, and I'm glad y'all are saying that. And then it's going to teach the other people, so you can, when you come back, that's very smart, very smart.
yeah, very. I think when you make comparing the apples to apples, I mean bare knuckle to bare knuckle, I think what we've done is figured out, and Dave figured it out, and he's also surrounded himself with very competent people that always looking how do we bring this to the next level. And the same thing with our medical team with Don Muzzy, bringing some of the best stitch doctors there, bringing, and has set up protocols that we all follow. It's very important for our referees to have a very good connection with the doctors that are ringside so that they can look at one another and have this unspoken kind of communication that we're going to be able to call timeout, have them go look at a fighter. And I think, that's so important. But again, there are certain things you can't train people to do, but they do it instinctively. In the last show with Yuli Diaz, Chris Young, who's a really, really good referee, at one point when he had been cut badly and the blood was coming down, Chris could have stopped the fight because he was talking to the fighter, and I was leaning in very carefully to hear what he had to say and just read his lips. And instead of stopping the fight, he called time and went over to the ringside physician, who then stopped the fight. So now the fans understand what just happened.
Yeah, see, that's smart.
It's so important that you have very competent officials. I remember Kevin McDonald watching me ref one night, and I had stopped the fight, and I went out, and he looked at me and he said, "If you waited 5 more seconds," he goes, "you would have sold it." He goes, "It's a great stoppage." He goes, "But if you had repositioned yourself, walked back around the other side of the fighter, and then waved it off," he goes, "and that's 90% of what we're doing is trying to sell it to the fans. I mean, we're doing our job, and they're doing